Today we're looking at a potential rage bait mock draft. Daniel Jeremiah just dropped his 2.0 mock draft, and yesterday he dropped the notion on Twitter that his son spoke to him and asked him, is this a rage bait mock draft? And he played it up like he did not know what that meant. So we're going to look through the picks. We're going to see what's happening and look at the player values. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now, because we're doing this every day with the 2025 NFL draft class. Going over the players, helping you with your Dynasty rookie drafts, your Dynasty teams, and everything else. Click that button, stop missing out. But we got to dig into this right now. So on NFL.com, he dropped his 2.0 mock draft, and we're going to go over the picks. First pick, Titans go Abdul Carter. And this is the best player on the board. This is the best player on the board. They could go QB, Cam Ward, or they could do that. Or patch that up in free agency for the short term and get yourself a stud, a bona fide stud. That's probably what I'm leaning to. That's what I would do if I was one of those two teams. Abdul Carter going to the Titans, that makes sense. Coming down, and Browns run to the podium and draft Cam Ward. Some people have him as QB1, some people have him as QB2. He's got a fast middle processor. He developed quickly with Miami after transferring there last offseason. Cam Ward is a guy that could be a little bit of a project. If I had J.J. McCarthy in this class, he would be my QB1 hands down. But these are good quarterbacks. They're just not lights out. They're not guaranteed. But there is some things in their profile that could help some NFL teams. Going down to the Giants, I'm guessing Travis Hunter here. And they draft Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter to the Giants makes sense. I do not see him getting out of the top three. I just don't see it. So more than likely, one QB off the board, Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, somewhere in those top three, and one of the two quarterbacks going into that mix. Or maybe we see a faller. Maybe we see quarterbacks falling, but I do not see Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter falling in this year's draft. Just too much talent on the board there. Going down to our next pick here, Patriots go Will Campbell. We've mocked this a few times. Patriots go on offensive tackle. They could go T-Mac in the spot, but offensive line, just keeping your new quarterback upright. Your rookie, your second-year quarterback now, Drake May. Just making sure you got the pieces around him. Will Campbell, one of the top offensive linemen in the class, and that should create an offensive tackle run in this mock draft. That's what I would expect. Going down to the fifth pick here, off the board, Jaguars go Mason Graham. Get the defensive tackle out of Michigan. This is a huge get up the gut on the defensive side of the ball. I think this is going to help the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think the talent's up there. I think this is an okay pick. So I'm waiting for the rage bait to happen. It's probably going to happen soon, I bet. Probably going to happen soon. I have not looked through this mock draft. This is new to me too. Raiders go Shedeur Sanders. They are desperately in need of a quarterback. They need that in the worst way. 6 off the board is a good value for him if you like him. I think he's a very accurate passer. He's got good ball placement, good anticipation. Sometimes he'll hold on to the ball a little too long. Still a high-end developmental quarterback with a lot of upside to be the guy there for the Raiders. They got to add weapons. They got to build this team. But you got to do something at the quarterback position for the long term. That ain't going to happen in free agency. Moving down to our next pick at 7, Tyler Warren going to the Jets. So we're getting a big receiving threat to the Jets. This is our first kind of oddball pick. There are some good defenders on the board. There are some different players on the board that could help this team. Going tight end. Right now, 7 overall. Tyler Warren, though, very productive. Very productive last year at Penn State. So I can see that. This is also a deep tight end class where second round, third round, you're going to find some gems. You're going to find some gems. Pick 8 off the board. Let's see it. Panthers go Jalen Walker. They get that edge out of Georgia, and they're going to add to that pass rush. I like him a lot. I've been mocking him a little bit higher than consensus compared to the PFF ranks. That makes sense. That makes sense. There's other players on the board, though. There's other players on the board that I like, and we're probably going to cover those players soon. So going down to the ninth pick, and we're going Mike Green to the Saints. Mike Green has been a big riser. He was a big riser at the Senior Bowl. Once people start seeing the tape, he was a riser even before that. Going to the Saints is a huge deal. Huge deal. Top 10 Mike Green. And I believe it. I believe it. Sometimes he slips in my mock drafts that I'm messing around with. I'm trying to break the draft, and I'm like, that's too low. And that's usually like 11, 12. So this makes sense to me. I agree with that. Now we're going down here. Chicago Bears go Kelvin Banks. Calvin Banks to the Chicago Bears. And they need offensive line. They need to add depth. They need to add talent. They need to stack up, keep Caleb Williams upright. They got the position groups good. Running backs deep. I know some people want them to add running back. That's a deep spot in this draft. Offensive tackle, get your talent. Calvin Banks, one of the top tackles in the class. You're good to go. The tackle run is coming. I bet. Because whenever I mock, when the tackles start coming off, they start coming off in bunches. 11 pick off the board. Niners, here we go. Will Johnson, they go cornerback. This talent's hard to ignore. He's actually fallen quite a bit. I would like to see him go a little bit higher in the mock. However, this is actually a good spot considering you got to see something a little bit different in that top 10 range. Something a little bit different. Will Johnson going to the Niners. Usually, I mock offensive tackle at this spot, but I understand. So, next pick should be the Cowboys coming up. Let's see what they're picking. Walter Nolan, defensive tackle from Mississippi. He's been climbing boards. I've been saying this all along. He's explosive up the gut. Cowboys make boring picks. They take value. This is good value. This is going to be good value up the gut. This is going to help them on defense. This is going to help them a lot on defense. It's not sexy. It's not like a Luther Burden or Ashton Genty. It's not the sexy pick you want. But the Cowboys don't make the sexy pick unless the sexy pick falls to them. Moving down to pick 13. Miami Dolphins go Tyler Booker. Offensive guard. I think this is a little bit of a reach. I think you can go guard or interior offensive line later, like second round, third round. I think you can go other positions of need. Starks is still on the board. There's some other players to go after that are very talented. Very talented. That you're not going to get that talent depth later in the draft where interior offensive line, you can stack that up later in the draft. Going down to pick 14, Colts get their offensive tackle from Missouri, and they're getting help from Anthony Richardson and their quarterbacks. They're stabilizing the offensive line. Adding another pass catcher does not make sense. They could have drafted Warren here. He gets mocked there a lot, but they're saying he's going to go high off the board. That's what they're saying here. Going to pick 15, Falcons go Michael Williams. Good pick. Good pick off the edge. They're going to get some talent there. That's going to help them out on the defensive side of the ball. Pick 16, Arizona. Kenneth Grant going to the Cardinals. And we got some offensive tackles falling. I think that's one of the big disconnects of this draft because I think a couple more of these tackles, at least one more, is going to come off the board. The Ohio State tackle's still there. That being said, this is a good defensive tackle there. So the back end of this draft is going to get interesting because some of the interior defensive linemen and the pass rushers are starting to come off a little bit earlier than usual for these mock drafts. Bengals go Jahdae Barron, cornerback from Texas, and they get themselves a good corner. Sometimes he falls to the second round, these mocks, or he goes a little bit later. But this is a good talent. I actually do like him a lot. I think he's underranked per PFF. I have him a little bit higher than what PFF has. So this is a good talent. There's other positions they could potentially go with. But now we're going to pick 18. Pick 18 coming off the board. We got a little ad here. Seattle goes Gray Zabel from North Dakota State. Interior offensive line. Some places have him at tackle. He's a guy that you can move around on the offensive line, put him where you need to be. A good talent, a good road grader going to you. Seattle fans, you guys are very talkative in the comment section. How do you feel about this one? How do you feel about this one? It's a little bit high. It's a little bit high compared to some of my other mocks, but there you go. There's your player. Pick 19. Pick 19, Bucs go T-Mac. T-Mac falls to pick 19 to Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Chris Godwin, more than likely gone. Mike Evans ain't going to be there forever. That being said, I don't see him falling this far. I don't see him falling this far. This is a weak wide receiver class. If T-Mac falls to the Bengals, they're pulling that trigger. That's why I kind of had a pause when I looked at that because I knew, because I don't have the player pool in front of me, I'm live reacting to this draft as it goes. T-Mac's not falling this far. He's not falling this far. This is not a deep wide receiver class. This is like the only wide receiver in the class where you feel good that's going to line up year one and be a bona fide starter and then develop from there to be a good producer. T-Mac's not falling this far. There's going to be FOMO due to that. He's not falling to 19. And if he does, I'll be surprised. But he's not falling to 19 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Broncos go Colston Loveland. A very good pass-catching tight end. I think this is going to be a good fit for Bo Nix. Bo Nix likes to target the short to intermediate. I would not be surprised over the course of time. Takes time for tight ends to develop. Him racking up points in fantasy. Going to pick 21. Steelers go Ashton Genty. I've mocked this a few times, playing around with mock drafts. I've had Ashton Genty all over the board. This could be a good fit for them. This could be a good fit because they're going to have troubles at the quarterback position. There's not another quarterback in this draft where you're going to pick at this spot. They have to trade up. They ain't going to do that. How can you get a difference maker? You're not going to catch that at wide receiver. T-Mac's not falling this far. Running back. Getting a stud running back. And maybe two. To really pair this off for the long term. Run the ball a little bit more. Slow things down. Because I saw a rumor that Danny Dimes to the Steelers. And there's rumors like this all the time. And with the Steelers, they're trying to figure out the quarterback spot. And the media is trying to figure out the quarterback spot. Lazy people on social media is trying to figure out the quarterback spot. That's an indicator of that. It's going to be hard to figure out the quarterback spot. Ashton Genty might smooth out that developmental process. And the Chargers go Marion Hampton. They get their running back. We have a little running back run. Considering the injuries we saw at running back, we got Jim Harbaugh, run first team. You got a big physical running back that can catch the ball out of the backfield, that can hammer it. Smart move for them. It is deep in this running back class. This is a good fit. But this running back class is a good fit for the Chargers in almost any rounds, especially rounds 2 and 3. I would not be surprised if they do something else here, but I also would not be surprised if Hampton comes off the board, Caleb Johnson, or one of the other running backs, Quinshon Judkins, goes to them, because we do have some good between the tackles grinders. Trevion Henderson, too, if they want that speed. On top of that, there's a lot of options here. Green Bay goes Josh Simmons. I don't see him falling down the board. I think it's due to the knee issue. I don't see him falling down the board. This is what I was talking about, the offensive tackle run, and I think Josh Simmons goes higher. I think he goes higher. I think Ashton Genty, Marion Hampton's there for the clicks, but I think Josh Simmons goes a little bit higher, which peels back some of these players. I think Josh Simmons goes higher. I don't see him going to 23. He's too talented. We're coming back from the knee issue, but we'll be good somewhere down the line this year. And this is a talented offensive tackle, a good bookend. This is a huge value at pick 23 when you look at the talent. We're going down here to pick 24, Trevion Henderson to the Vikings. This is where the rage bait comes in, but a lot of people are mocking or stating that Trevion Henderson might be a first rounder, and the Vikings get a running back. They're going to be hurting at the running back position. Aaron Jones ain't going to be there forever, and they need to get something there. Cam Akers was your RB2. Coming back from the Achilles, you had to get him from the Texans. That being said, Trevion Henderson might be the RB2 in his class. Good catch the ball in the backfield. Stout pass blocker. This is a very good running back prospect. We got 3 running backs going in the first round, which is a very talented running back class. But the thing is, the running back class is still deep. It's still deep with talent. Going to pick 25, and the Texans get Emeka Egbuka. So we set up the fits to where we can be sexy on the back end. That's what she said. That's what she said. That's what he did. There's the rage bait. That's what's happening. Is this a good mock? Not likely. I think Emeka Egbuka is going to be doing better at the combine than expected. Big, thick, slot receiver that can play on the outside. That's very nuanced. Wouldn't be surprised. Year 2, he starts hitting a little bit. It's a good get for the Texans. It's a good pick for the Texans. But the reason why is because you're catching him at a very good price. I think he's going to go a little bit higher than expected. The Rams get a defensive tackle. They get one from Toledo. Must be one of his risers from the scouting process. Must be one of his risers. I've not seen Alexander talk that much up. I've not seen that. But could potentially happen. Going down here, we got related links. There we go. Ravens go Shamar Stewart, getting that edge from Tamu. And they're going to get a player like this. It's either going to be offensive tackle, defensive end, or something like that. They're going to get that edge. They're going to add. They're going to be a no-nonsense pick team. Donovan Jackson from Ohio State, another guard coming off the board. Pick 28, I can give that a little bit more leeway. However, round 2, round 3 is where the money's going to be had for interior offensive line. I think there's other positions where we can roll here. I think the player pool is still deep. I don't think this is happening, but it could. It could. I don't put anything past Campbell. But going down here, Commanders go Jihad Campbell. Good pick. Good pick. Rangy linebacker from Alabama. Just adding that to the interior, to the center of your defense. That's going to help them out. There's other players of need there, other positions. You're looking at offensive line. You're looking at wide receiver. However, wide receiver is not a deep class, and he's telling you that. He's telling you that with this pick. There's a wide receiver on the board right now who's usually mocked by now, who's usually picked, that's not picked. Who is that be? And I'll let you know in a second. Matthew Golden goes to the Buffalo Bills. His stock immensely goes up for Dynasty Fantasy Football, and they're getting another good wide receiver to this offense. Might be a tad too early, considering the talent, but it's also a good talent that could help this team. They need wide receiver in the worst way. It's also letting you know that Matthew Golden is his wide receiver 3 potentially. Going down the board, Josh Connerly going to the Chiefs. Might happen. Did have some bad looks at the Senior Bowl when it came to the one-on-one drills, but still a good tackle prospect. I think it might go a little bit higher. I think the tackle run hits a little bit heavier in the first round than realized because it kind of drops off a little bit in the second round. I think he might go a little bit higher than this, and the Chiefs might have to make a luxury pick or just keep stacking to the defense. Going down to the Eagles, Starks. He's not falling this far. People are mocking him too low. He's not falling this far. I know it's a safety, and safeties are kind of deep, and you can kind of moneyball that position. He's not falling that far. So really, this is a little bit of a rage bait mock. Luther Burden did not get drafted in this mock draft. I could definitely see him going to the Chiefs or him going to one of these teams, him going to the Bills. I can definitely see that happen. I do not see him as a must-get prospect in this year's draft, but this year's draft is weak at wide receiver. He's got a strong profile, but not immaculate. Not as immaculate as what people says, but he did not get mocked. They're saying he's not draftable in the first round. He's not a first-round prospect. That being said, what do you think about his mock draft? This ain't mine. Let me know who you wanted on your team. I want to hear about it. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. I got more coming at you. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.